Hello and welcome to TED Talks. I'm your host, Daphne Gomez, and today I'm joined with,
Kevin Gomes.
My name is Nelson Barrios.
and this is our SkillsUSA alumni here. What is your position as an alumni?
I'm currently the president.
President?
And I'm the vice president.
So we got big people with big roles here, huh? How does it feel? So what brought you back here? What brought you back as an alumni?
Want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll start it. Honestly, just being involved and seeing all these younger students evolve and grow, it's inspiring. And just because I was one of those kids, I want to give back. I want to see people succeed.
Yeah, I mean, Skills was such a pivotal moment in my high school life where I feel like it really brought a lot. Just being a part of Skills and all the things I learned through Skills really helped me grow as a person. And I wanted to be able to help current students get that same amount of growth that I got when I was involved in Skills. And I mean, it's such a great growing program here. Like when we were here, we probably had like less than 40 people that was actively involved, where now it's like a full program. So it's really nice to see the growth that's occurred with the Skills chapter at Tech right now. So I mean, I'm just a person who likes giving back and helping people out. So if I can do anything to have that effect on people and do my part, like I'm always willing to.
That's great. That's awesome. So, as we are here in the Mental Wealth Expo, how do you feel this impacts the community? Do you think this has an impact?
Oh, for sure. I feel like it gets the conversation started. If it hasn't already been started, it really drives the norm of just understanding mental health and all of its components, right? It's a process. This is a thing that people experience. It can be hard. And then, getting advice and mentorship from people that's either experienced it or from professionals, it's really helpful. And I feel like this is just a small step in a larger conversation for not just Lynn, but like the world in itself. So
Yeah.
I want to piggyback what you said of just opening up the conversation. I feel like that's all it really needs to happen, is just start that conversation. Once you start that conversation, you'll realize that you're not the only one experiencing these things, and it just knowing that someone else is going through that helps you connect to each other.
Yeah.
find like a community.
Yeah.
So obviously, since you guys are high school graduates, what are some, obviously, like the transition from high school and college is very different, I've heard. What were some methods that you guys used through that transition? Like, was it like hard? Was your mental health, like, did you find yourself in like the transition was hard? So did you find yourself in like a deep hole, and how did you get yourself out of there?
I mean, the transition is definitely hard because it's a lot of newness, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think when you're in high school, as a freshman, everything's new. But by the time you become like a junior, everything's the same. It's the same build. Not everything, but a lot of things are pretty constant. Same building, same teachers, same pattern. You know what you're doing after school, etc. But when you go off to college or you start a full-time job, everything is new. You go from being a senior where you're like top of the food chain, and now you're at the bottom of the food chain again. So
Yeah.
just like both from a seniority standpoint, but also just understanding like how to navigate in these new spaces. It's definitely hard. I don't think I necessarily found myself in a hole through that process, but I think it's very easy to find yourself in a darker hole when you're going through all this new changes, because you don't really like know what to do per se. But I think it's just kind of going with the mindset of knowing things will be okay and it'll get better. Like, right? Like I may not know my campus now, or I may not be the best welder day one, but in like a few years, just like in high school, by the time I become a senior, 4 years out, I'm going to really know what I'm doing. So just kind of giving yourself grace during those periods, I think is really important.
Yeah. I think just giving yourself that time to grow is what's needed. College for me was like a very different experience. I felt like I kind of just got everything that I knew here was not what I was expecting.
Yeah. New world.
I feel like you kind of just like, oh, here you go, start your life, and it's like, oh crap, what do I do? But I felt like I had to change my coping skills a little bit in that sense. It was like you said, everything here we already have a pattern. Everything was A, B, C. In college, it was very different. It was just kind of finding your rhythm to it, and that's going to naturally come. As every day you're going to learn new things, you're going to meet new people, and just making those connections just helps ease everything.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you guys feel about this event? Do you think it had an impact in the community? Do you think that people are actually going to take in these coping mechanisms and really apply them to their day-to-day lives?
I think so. I mean, I think for one, if it hasn't exposed people, I think at a minimum it brings exposure, and exposure is great. And I think at best, people are going to take the coping mechanisms and implement them in their own life. And like, I think for a lot of people, it may not start tomorrow, but the fact that these conversations are had, it's kind of getting stuck in their brain, and then eventually they'll come around to it, or at least they have the tools now and can reference it later, as opposed to not having the tools at all and not knowing what to do. So I think it has an impact already.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's already having an impact. Even like Eric, our former graduate, he went through it and he knows all about coping, and he had his own run-ins with anxiety. He knows what's going on, and he's the one basically that started a conversation with Makush, and it's expanded. So it's definitely already had its own impact, I think.
I think Eric, he's actually one of our next guests, but I don't think he knows what like an impact he has, which is truly crazy.
Yeah, having a personal kind of like story
Connection
is
to it.
definitely helpful in like learning and
Well,
understanding.
thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you guys coming on here and really opening yourselves up, because it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially when people are gonna see this and you're just like, ugh, like.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Of course.
Appreciate
That is it for TED Talks. I'm your host, Daphne Gomez. Be sure to stay tuned and watch our next one, and make sure to follow us on our Instagram page at LVTI TV Media and LVTI SkillsUSA. Bye.